this has been trending on YouTube and Twitter, and so I wanted us to take our crack at it because this is a beloved series, but I think I'm gonna say this: we shit on fan bases all the time, and I say anime fans deserve nothing a lot.
Absolutely.
I do think, and I'm gonna give them some credit. Now, I don't know what the percentage of Naruto slash Boruto like people that are either strictly Boruto. Like, there's a line between people that are just Naruto fans and they just accept Boruto exists, but they kind of leave it alone. But
It's
I think
probably for the
Naruto
best.
fans, as they've gotten a little bit older, have realized they have the same effect as like Dragon Ball fans, where it's like, yes, we can acknowledge we love this series. We can also acknowledge, man, there's some funny things that happen, but we just look past it, right?
Yeah.
I think, and that comes with age, that comes with the maturity, and the fact of no, at 11 years old, when I saw Orochimaru reanimate the first two Okage, I didn't know who the fuck they were, nor did I was I gonna know that the third box couldn't really work. Um, but
Yeah, there was some storyline in there.
there was, yeah,
There was
and back then in 2006,
it was
Kishimoto was
fucking
cooking.
cool. Yeah, I was like, whatever was in that third box had to be scary.
And
I
who
what was it?
knows? Who
What was
knows?
it? Was it Madara? But I just figured it was
Okay, that's actually like a half-ass cool theory, but like I don't
I
have that
good thing
confidence.
I stopped Madara from showing up.
Dog, imagine Madara in episode fucking 70 of Naruto. We don't need pain. We don't need anything that happens in all Shippuden. Madara comes out, kills everybody,
Yeah,
wins on sight.
maybe we don't perfect this jutsu so they don't take over. Like whatever Orochimaru did in the beginning, he had control of the first, so that was sick.
That's
Like I said, cooking.
but so this one's been trending, and this is 15 plot holes in Naruto Shippuden that still baffles fans. And I'll let you know this says Shippuden, but it basically encompasses the whole story.
Okay, that's cool.
So I thought this would be fun to go over because some of these we're gonna go through quick. Some of these actually have some interesting convos, and some of these are stuff we've already talked about before. And for anyone that has not, go back and listen. Matt genuinely breaks down the timeline of the Hidden Leaf Village in a really cool way. It's one of my favorite things we've ever done here. Um, so number one is the mysterious death of Hashirama Senju. The first Hokage's unexplained death remains one of the series' biggest mysteries, as the founder of the Hidden Leaf Village and a shinobi powerful enough to rival Mamoru Uchiha, his sudden disappearance from the narrative after passing the torch to his brother feels like a massive oversight. For a character of such historic significance, the lack of info about his fate creates a conspicuous void in the story. Now, I specifically wanted
I
to
agree.
well, I wanted to bring up your timeline specifically before I said this one
Okay.
because what did people want like a 90-year-old Hashirama to do?
I I think like giving some answer as to how he died. And that's how come like my timeline was he like the death of the first Hokage was what triggered the first Great Ninja War. Like
Mm,
something happened, all of the Kage ganged up on Hashirama. He took out every single one of them, but he died in the process. And I'm like, that's cool. Because then that makes it for the timeline purpose, that means the second Hokage was only Hokage for the duration of the first Great Ninja War.
mm,
And I'm like, I kind of dig that as
yeah, we
like
all
just
love
like
this.
yeah, you know, like this ancient era of like it's a testament to the third Hokage living as long as he did
Mm,
because it was like, oh, he is kind of like the foundation of the new leaf moving forward. But I agree. I think we should have gotten something. Like I know Oda's been doing a lot of
SBS
like
villain.
SBS fill-in, and I'm like, honestly, some of that for the strongest shinobi
Oh yeah, the
for our
strong.
time should have I think should have been a thing. I wouldn't call it a plot hole. I just think it's a missed opportunity though.
So that's where I think some of these aren't plot holes. I think they're just plot points that people didn't like
They're like
because I did.
missing plot. Yeah, like it's a you have a scarf with a bunch of fringes on the end of it and it was a fringe that wasn't tied off in a satisfying way.
Because I'm of the belief, and I know I just because I'm not going to stress it too much. I think Hashirama just died of age because there's context clues you can kind of use to be like, okay, he would have just died off due to age. Moderate even. This isn't. fair, and I would honestly give Oda this because Oda's done this better over his career. Madara stating, "I'm too old," and Hashirama and I fought so intensely. Like, if I let go of this tree, I'm going to die. So I kind of use that same logic from like, okay, so Hashirama, if he had gotten to that same age, he would have had all these same intense battles. He naturally has just like the most broken DNA in the world, but he also would have succumbed to it similar to Madara. Again, Oda does this really well and always kind of ties his little knot, so I would be more willing to give it to him versus Kishimoto. But
Yeah,
number two is Jiraiya's abandonment of young Naruto. Perhaps one of the most heart-wrenching plot holes centers around Jiraiya's absence during Naruto's childhood. As Naruto's godfather and his father's mentor, Jiraiya's decision to leave him uh, isn't is hard to justify. The contrast between his later devotion to Naruto's training and his earlier absence creates a perplexing contradiction in his character.
that's a plot hole.
I
That
don't
that
think
that
so.
that has been no. So what I think it's trying to get at is the fourth Hokage is a hero,
Correct.
right? Naruto is the son of the fourth Hokage. Where was the third? Where, like, more importantly, where was Jiraiya? Why was Naruto considered a pariah when he's the son of the fourth Hokage, right? And like I guess you can kind of contrast it with Gaara, but there's disdain from his dad. Like Gaara's dad had disdain for him too. And so I think like Jiraiya not being there is a huge. That's a big like for me that's one of the bigger plot holes in Naruto.
So I'm going to use, and maybe this is unfair, some of the novels that came out post Naruto finishing. The same way we let Oda get the SBSs, I will use some from Kishimoto's novels. Now, should this have
Okay.
been wrapped into the story? Probably. But when they taught Minato and Kushina, like they wanted, so there's a really weird line in the anime only for anime only watchers where it's they wanted him to be the hero, and in the novel they explain they wanted Naruto to kind of make it on his own, and so they want Minato didn't want just this expectation of, oh, I'm this great. I'm this. I am like Minato's got an argument as like the greatest shinobi ever because he was 22 and he had already done all this insane shit. Like your boy saw a tailed beast on him and said, "I want to make that," and he did. Your boy said,
It's
"Oh,
kind
the
of cool.
first, second Okage can teleport, bitch. I'm gonna teleport too." Like he did so much stuff at like a prodigy level. Um, I think the bigger point here, Jiraiya was living an entirely different life. Like Jiraiya at that point in time, I think there was some trust that the third Hokage wouldn't fuck this up, and I think the majority of the blame for this goes on the third. Versus
It
Jiraiya
always
was living.
does.
Oh, it does. No, 1,000%.
Yeah.
Because Jiraiya at that point in time, I don't remember the exact timeline. Orochimaru leaves what, like a few years before the Nine Tails attack, or is it like right after?
Uh,
A little before,
it's
because they don't have any of the Sannin during the attack.
they don't have any of the Sannin during the attack. I think it's before.
Yeah. So Jiraiya is in that part of
Jiraiya's
his life,
Jiraiya's searching. That's true.
and you can't take a baby Naruto, especially like even if let's say okay, Naruto, he leaves Naruto when he's really young, like baby, lets him do toddler shit, and then he goes to pick him back up. By the time Jiraiya really figures out what Orochimaru's doing, he figures out about the Akatsuki, and he figures out the Akatsuki going after Tailed Beast. So why the fuck am I gonna go grab literally the biggest key when he's super young and keep him with like even if
No,
Jiraiya
I think I look at it more as like because I guess in the novels you said in the novels they mentioned like we want Naruto to make it on his own.
correct,
Well,
there's
in the manga, it's like I think there's a line that's it was the fourth Hokage's wish that he be seen as a hero.
correct.
And those are two very contradicting things
No,
in
that's
my
valid.
brain. Like the novel sounds like it's retconning that, which is
And it could
different,
be.
which I guess like is meant to try to fill in a plot hole that is there. Like I think having Jiraiya, I think at the end of the day, Naruto had nobody.
Correct.
He lived alone.
They
And
should have thrown
like
his ass in an orphanage. If there's a real
he should
argument,
have
he should have been
had
in the orphanage.
that he had an apartment to himself.
Was the
Like
Nine Tails, to be fair. Which that's the other part where I'm like, I think Kishimoto wanted to give us. He showed us the
yeah,
characters, how the Jinchuriki were treated badly. I think he should have had that random dude from the sand that was the Jinchuriki before Gara, like how he's just like in that cell. I
yeah,
think there was supposed to be more there of like, no, this is what we do with Jinchuriki, because if we ever got to really see the original Kage when they split them up, we could have seen like a story gone bad of we let the first dude to have the two tails, like get strong, he loses control, and now the two tails is going fucking wild, and they said never again.
yeah.
And that would have
I,
explained Naruto being
I
treated shittier.
yeah, I still look at like I think it was the idea that like the fourth Hokage, there was a theory in the fan base that fourth Hokage was Naruto's dad for years. Like probably since the inception of it.
Oh yeah, that
That
statue.
theory, yeah, since we saw the statue, we are like, oh, it looks like Naruto, so that's Naruto's dad. And that was like how the theory kind of ran. I think the way it was written, it should have the fourth Hokage shouldn't have been Naruto's dad. He should have been like I think it makes more sense. Like they could be in the same clan, you know, make it like an Uzumaki whatever or however you want to do it, right? Like I think the reality is that and they did this really well towards the end when Naruto was learning, like he was mastering Rasengan, right? He was adding like nature to it and he was showing that he could carry things on his back.
Hmm.
Like, and people were like, oh, I see the fourth Hokage in him. I see Jiraiya in him, you know? I think you can still do that and have it not be his dad.
No, you probably
Jiraiya can
could
go, oh, he reminds me of my old student. Naruto can aspire to be like the fourth Hokage
without
for
being
whatever
Naruto's son.
reason, right?
That's
Um,
valid.
like but I do agree. I think I agree with that being a plot hole. The whole like Naruto dynamic as like a kid. Like, was he like 2 years old running around an apartment by himself? Like, who was looking after this kid?
There's another one which will that it goes a little bit more into the whole dynamic of his upbringing, which the third one I don't think it's a plot hole. I think people just don't like it, and I'll stand on this.
Yeah, I'm
Sakura's
here.
inexplicable devotion to Sasuke.
Not a
Um,
plot hole.
it's not a plot hole. It's just bad character writing. Like
It's
she's
bad
just
character writing. I agree with that.
I don't have much else here. I'm like, yeah, she's and don't get me wrong. In all anime and manga, there is over the top, like there's dramatic of any emotion, right? And I'm not even trying to shame her for that. But to someone who, again, I've been calling my hero like Naruto done correctly, Uraraka's devotion to Deku is what Sakura was supposed to be. I can
And
have
she
my
puts it on hold
correct.
because she's like, I got to step on business. I don't have time for this.
Correct. She's almost perfect because
Yeah.
she does like the Hinata thing and Sakura. Hinata just doesn't stay
Yeah.
relevant enough through the whole story, which she does, but while still keeping that over the top devotion. It's like that's how you write a female character. So not a plot hole, just shitty character writing. Number four is inconsistent power rate scaling with Madara's abilities.
I agree.
Um, and this I never
They
even thought of.
they stop being ninja.
So
Chakra doesn't
this
mean anything in the Great Ninja War.
it doesn't, but this one's actually more interesting, which is um the requirements of EMS abilities. And I used to never even like, I didn't even second guess this in real time. He's like, Madara launches Susanoo with no eyes. When he first comes back to life, he has no eyes, then he
Oh,
gets one eyes.
that's a plot hole from the anime, not the manga.
Oh, so that okay. Are we
Yeah, it was
sure?
they messed up it with the animation.
Oh, oh.
I
Okay.
believe, right? When did he
I thought he launched because he doesn't have NI at all to start because his first when he comes back to life, he just wants to bleed because he's a crackhead. So he fights the tailed beast, he bleeds, and he recovers because he has Hashirama cells. And then Zetsu gives him the first Rinnegan and tells him
Oh,
the
I see what
second
you're
one.
saying. Yeah. So when he comes back to life, does he launch a Susanoo when he comes
I
back to
was
life?
pretty positive. This says
I
it
didn't
does. I thought he did.
All
I
right,
know he
hold on.
definitely does with one
I'm
eye,
going
which
to the texts.
with one eye, I'm okay with it because I just think he's strong enough that with one eye he can do some bullshit like that. That's fine to me. Once I get your text, I'm gonna.
Hold on. Hold on.
Oh,
We're looking. Let's see. We're still in Zombie Madara, Zombie Madara, Zombie Madara. Bringing them all out. God damn. All right, here we go. Oi. All right, here we go. Clickety clack, boy. I think Madara's alive here because Eight Gates is on the cover.
because I know there's a famous anime fuck up where like he launches the Rinnegan before EMS, and that's hilarious.
Yeah,
I
that's
love that
the
episode.
yeah that he like launches it with
Naruto's running
let's
at him with
see.
the Rasen Shuriken, and he's like, "Oh, Rinnegan," and they're like, "Oh, he's not supposed to do that for like 20 more chapters." And like, "Oh, my bad."
Um okay, he gets an eye.
Does he not pop up with one eye? I'm
Oh
okay with.
wait, hold on. I found the chapter where he comes back. Okay, here we go. Here we go.
Sick fucking
He
cover art though,
jumps
by the way.
into the fray. He's fighting all of the Jinchuriki or all the Bijou at once.
That's a sick page.
It is a
Him
sick
him
page.
staring down all of them was like, okay, we got something here.
Um,
Or I guess
he
seven in general.
gets where? Let's see. He's doing his thing. He's doing his thing. They're hitting him with the tails. And then Zetsu shows up and gives him the Renegon.
Oh, so no Susanoo post Reneg or
No
pre Renegon.
Susanoo post Renegon or pre Renegon. And
Okay.
then he still hasn't done Susanoo yet.
Okay, so that's just an. I'm willing to chalk this up then to as an anime only thing. Then, if the anime fucked that up, they fucked that up. But I'm not holding that against the original series.
Okay.
That's just an animator thing.
Yeah, he activates like all the other shit. He might have, yeah, he might have in the anime, but in yeah, let's go to the end of 68 just to double check that. He's running around, he's doing his thing. He's not activating Susanoo. Gets he does his Rene rebirth on himself.
I think that's one of the points. I think that's literally on this list.
Okay. Yeah, no. I don't see him doing Susanoo before. Bro, you made me have to dig for that one. I forgot how long the war was.
That's number 15. That one's hilarious. So number 5 is what we were kind of talking about earlier, which is the Hidden Leaf's treatment of young Naruto.
Yeah.
The village's treatment of Naruto directly contradicts its foundational principle, the will of fire. Despite being under the third Hokage's protection and the fourth Hokage's son, Naruto was allowed to grow up isolated and scorned. The fact that no one recognized him as Minato's son, despite Kushina's visible pregnancy, stretches credibility.
And also Kushina is like a prominent figure
Yeah,
in
this
that.
one's again. I could defend Jiraiya not taking him because again, Jiraiya is trying to literally chase down Orochimaru the Akatsuki.
Yeah.
That's outside of the village. This one I got nothing for, and it sucks because it is one of the cool like it's one of the principles of Naruto early on is that he is this scorned kid. He's bullied, like he feels misplaced, and I'm having to overcome that. And then you do start to wonder, like, well, why did you have to at all? Like, what was
Yeah.
this?
It's why I'm like, oh, if his family wasn't who they were, like
It
if
make
it
more
wasn't the
sense.
fourth Hokage, I think it would have made a lot more sense.
It's yeah, it's
Plus
and
then we
again,
get into like the clan of it, right? Like which is like that's I think I don't know if that made the list. The Uzumaki clan is also a big like swing and a miss for me for Naruto.
do no, they don't come up, but there's I wish so I agree with you to the points made earlier of like, yeah, I do wish they were just both Uzumakis who had like a not even I know he was trying to tie it in with like family, so it was like Itachi and Sasuke, their brothers, and then Naruto and his
Yeah.
parents. I get that, but I do think it would have been better if he was just. I still want him to be an Uzumaki because I do think, again, a storyline we never got is that he had a quote unquote better control of the Nine Tails because Kushina did, and the previous predecessor because the Uzumaki chains are just
Hmm.
insane. Like
Yeah.
those are
I th- yeah,
adamantium chains are busted.
it's what makes Midoriya, like, I think I could go back to My Hero being a better Naruto. Like, Midoriya is a nobody
Mm-hmm.
who just happens to run into All Might one day,
Yeah,
right? Like, and that's I think that would have made Naruto. I think that would have just filled that plot hole way more. Like, Naruto's just a member of this dead clan, like, or sorry, it was a dying clan, and like he's like nobody really talks about the Uzumakis because they deal with sealing jutsus and they mess around with the Bijou, and like the last of them like got taken out, and so we don't really like Naruto because he's it's weird. Like, we don't want to deal with the Nine Tails. There's still that taboo with it, right?
yeah. I would
Like,
have much rather there have been like if he had established a because I don't know, I haven't read this one, but I don't someone talks about it, but I have no way to confirm if it's true. And that is did we ever get confirmation on why the Uzumakis were taken out or where they
no.
went? Okay. So I heard someone, but I can't confirm this is true, but if this would have been a better plot point, is that the Uzumakis were feared because of their ability to handle the tailed beast. Like Kushina, after
It's like
giving
inferred. I remember it vaguely.
like they were taken out by other villages because they were scared of them because that ability to control the tailed beast outside of your body would be you could theoretically nuke another village because you could use the chains and get control of one.
Yeah.
And I would have rather that if we got that realized, then Naruto, it's easier to fear monger him because it's like, oh shit, we know because now it makes more sense because we know his dad was a prodigy. We know his mom was a monster, and he literally has the perfect blood to control this in a way that you can't kill him because everyone was. We knew that tailed beast regenerate, so it wasn't going to do any good just to kill him because then you were just waiting however
What?
long
Tail
until
beasts
Kurama came back.
they regenerate. What?
It's so
Wait, so you're telling me when Kurama died, he was gonna come back?
man, look,
No.
it's but like that could
That
have
was a
been a better.
surprise.
Uh, that would have been a better fear mongering viewpoint because then Naruto would have been this like he would have been quote unquote the perfect Jinchuriki, which still aligns him up with B, even though B was
Yeah.
adopted. B came from this crazy family, was crazy strong, and it's like holy shit, he can actually control the eight tails, so he's a super threat. And Naruto could have followed a similar line, but
Yeah.
because we didn't get the Uzumaki clan, we just it is weird.
Yeah. It's a hindsight thing for sure. But I do agree. I think I already said this. Naruto being the son of the fourth Hokage is a big
The
plot
best.
hole. I think it's a huge plot hole.
Kakashi's character and consistency. The contrast between young Kakashi's strict adherence to the rules and his later casual approach to responsibility creates a character contradiction. While his
Hmm.
experiences with Obito and Rin explain some changes in philosophy, his extreme shift towards laziness and nonchalance feels at odds with his established character traits. I think this is wrong on all levels.
That's called character growth.
That's what I'm like.
That's called character development.
You read the story, like Kakashi has one of the best
Yeah.
through storylines
Yeah.
because it makes sense. Because yeah, he was so stickler to the rules, and then his dad kills himself. His other friend is dead under a rock, and then he murders his other best friend, and it's like multiple drawing experiences, and he's like, "Yeah, man, this is a lot. I'm gonna lighten up." And it's
All the
the
Anbu
charming part
stuff
of
too.
Guy. Yeah, the
All the
Anbu stuff.
Anbu stuff, right? Like,
He saw
it's like
Itachi and said, "Fuck this."
he's like, well, how many people do you have to kill to be like, okay, man, I'm
And
like one of the most feared ninja in the fucking world
facts.
because I downloaded an update I shouldn't have.
And it's like, and that's part of the charm of Guy is like Kakashi being so loose is like the years of friendship him and Guy like that just rubs off on you. Guy being so over the top brings up a Kakashi who's so down in the mud. Like the Kakashi
Yeah.
Anbu stuff, even if it's filler, is some of the best shit Naruto put out. Like
Well,
it.
I also think too that Naruto that's a big part of it too. Naruto is big on
Yeah.
that's part of his thing is that he inspires the people that are around him,
Hmm.
right? Like I mean, One Piece literally like they say it more on the nose, but like Naruto's grit in that first the village to the with the bridge.
Hmm. That
Naruto's
race.
grit like that does a lot for Kakashi.
Oh yeah.
Like I think on some level like Naruto really does remind him of Obito.
Oh yeah.
And that I think that like adds to his character too. Like I you can't don't slander Kakashi.
Um. So this next one I think is the biggest in because
Is
this
it
literally
bullshit?
changes the
You think
entire story.
bullshit?
No,
Oh,
I think
okay.
this is the biggest plot hole in our Naruto, and I remember even in real time going, "What?" So,
It's
and it
Indra
coincides with another
and
character.
it's the two gods that suddenly appeared out of
No,
no
no, no. This is
okay.
even worse than them because this it didn't even make sense because it's this and Pain. I think they both qualify to be in the same boat as far as
Okay.
what the fuck. And that is number 7, Donzo's puzzling patience. Despite possessing considerable amount of power and influence, Donzo's decision to bide his time instead of seizing control earlier in this series seems illogical. His acceptance of Tsunade's appointment as Hokage, despite her previous abandonment of the village, particularly stands out as inconsistent with his character's ambitious nature. Why the fuck did we not see Donzo as soon as the third Hokage was dead? He's literally in the room. He's the only guy who can get in the room with the two elders who are appointing the next Hokage. He's already got the eyes. The only thing he can't pull off, which I've seen this argument, but I think it's bullshit, is the I don't remember the name of his Genjutsu, but he's got Sishui's eye and the name of the
Yeah.
like total mind control. He would not, and that's like, oh, that was his grandmaster plan. He wanted to take full control that way, and it's like he literally wouldn't have had to. The only person that ever stopped this man from being Hokage is now dead.
Yeah.
Like
I
why
agree
we
with
didn't
this.
see him
I
then.
agree with this take.
I'm like, what the, and I give Pain the same shit. Pain, what what stopped you? Besides, like, why did you wait? You literally said, yo, the One Tails has never been more hurt. The Nine Tails has never been more hurt. The third Hokage's dead. Orochimaru's missing his arms. I still have 8 crazy motherfuckers. And the only thing I got to deal with, in his defense, I get it. He declared Jiraiya a special threat. But with 6 of you and 8 other Akatsuki members, Jiraiya is no longer a special threat. You
So
overwhelm the
we
fuck out of him.
so this is where I think the this is I agree to an extent. I think they do their best. I think he did his best at like kind of writing himself out of the Akatsuki thing because he did send 2 of his best. He sent Itachi and he sent Kisame. Not necessarily to pick up Naruto, but they were close enough that like they were going to the village. They went to the village. They were looking for Naruto. So like I think but this is where I think the power scale gets out of hand at the end, right? Because what stops them are the Jonin. And Jonin are supposed to be these elite ninjas. And Pain is Jonin level, but like you can make the case when things aren't on this like I can flatten the planet with like a look level of like ninja fighting. Uh you can you kind of go okay like
Why did they stop you?
I'm not just gonna attack I'm not gonna pull a Garp and just attack Pirate Island, right? It's
Valid.
reckless. And like it or not, I might be crazy fucking strong. I'm also an old man and I'm going up against an Emperor crew. Like we're not Luffy walking into Whole Cake, right? And then the entire Charlotte family coming after him. Like it doesn't matter if I just took out Cracker because now I have to deal with the whole family. And so like I think early on Naruto really understood its power scale in the sense of like hey, yeah, like we're a small group of people going after the Bijou and a village full of like it was a big deal that Orochimaru killed the third Kazekage, right? He kills a Kazekage and impersonates him, and then he killed the Hokage and got away. Like that's a huge deal.
No,
Like
it's
I
yeah.
and yeah, I think the power scale gets out of hand, but I don't think it's an inconsistency. Like the third Hokage does die, and then Itachi returns to the village, presumably looking for
He's looking
the
for
Nine
something.
Tails, right?
Yeah.
And then he just happens to run into the Nine Tails and his brother. But like more importantly, he runs into Naruto and he's like, "Okay, Naruto, come with us." And who's there? Jiraiya, someone who's on par with someone that can take out uh Hokage and a
Hokage. Yeah.
Kazekage, right? And you're like, "Okay, well, Jiraiya is a Hokage level threat and I'm not fighting him."
No,
Like
it's
Itachi going, and this is before Susanoo, right? Like Amaterasu's a thing, kind of. Like we're not quite sure. We just know
some shit
that
gets unveiled literally right there.
Itachi was able to escape in some way, and we're like, and even Jiraiya's like, that's weird. He shouldn't have been able to do that.
No, that's okay. So Pain, I'll give some slack. Donzo, I don't get why he
I
didn't
don't
just
get
try to.
I don't I agree with the Donzo thing. I think making Donzo ambitious was the downfall. I think keeping him as like the guy that protects the village from the shadows, as
Mhm.
opposed to the guy that's like, I've always wanted to be Hokage. I will only be Hokage. I think that's kind of you know, like him seizing power after Tsunade gets taken out. I'm like, I feel like if he had just leaned into
You could have done that same shit. Like,
like he's like, I'll just be interim until something. Because that's what Shikamaru is apparently doing. He will not take the eighth Hokage title. He's just acting Hokage.
I
They
don't know.
retcon that one really fucking fast, Justin.
Number 8, Neji's unnecessary sacrifice.
I don't agree. I don't agree.
I don't either. So among all deaths in
Why was it
Shippuden,
why is it unnecessary?
this is what so this is where scaling gets fucked up, and I think that's why
Okay.
people are upset with Neji. So among all deaths in Shippuden, Neji's feels particularly forced. As one of the most skilled shinobi of his generation, his death is by a simple attack that he should be able to avoid feels more like a plot device than a natural story progression.
Oh,
This
I
is where
see. Like why did he dive in front of Naruto like this when he could have like done the circle?
correct.
I
Well,
but I think people are forgetting that it's not Ninja Storm.
it's also they did it
This isn't like
for
I can't put in my inputs fast, like I also have to jump across a battlefield and like
he's tired. Everybody besides Naruto was
oh,
out of
you're nicer than
chakra,
me, dude. I'm like
exhausted.
he's just a dude.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, bro, like, and because one in Neji's novel, they I don't know if this is retcon, I don't really care. But in
Hmm.
Neji's novel, they say Neji at the time of death was the strongest user of the Byakugan in history. I've seen like
I
three of
agree
them.
with
I don't
that.
give a fuck. It's
Yeah,
probably true.
I agree with that. Yeah.
But I'm like, he'd also been fighting literally all day. We saw him fight in the morning. We saw him fighting at night. We saw him fighting during the mid. Like he, and by that point, they were all fighting against. I don't remember. Is Madara's there? Yeah, Madara's there by that point. It's like Madara's there, Obito's there, the ten tails there. Like everything's going fucking crazy. They're in the middle of a fucking war, and it's like at some point, yeah, your boy does just run out of chakra, and the only thing he can do is say, I gotta save the one person that I know can help us win this war. So yeah, I'm gonna go launch myself in front of a fucking tree. Like, is people are like, oh well, this person said this person. The only other person I'm gonna demand because I don't want to take that of the author's creative liberty. The only other person that should have died in the war, in my opinion, out of the core cast is Guy. Guy should have died because Eight
I
Gates had a
agree.
great story and it was supposed to, it was boom, finish it off, love it.
I
But
think
I'm
he's
not
probably
upset with Neji dying.
I think Guy probably should have died sooner too. Like
Probably.
I think when you get it's giving it's giving like uh Toto coming back with a vibra slap for a hand.
Hmm.
when he does it against Madara, because you're like, ah, it's so cool. And like
You know what can't kill him?
I he can't lose to Madara or he can't beat Madara because like Naruto is still doing something.
Guy
So
eight
like
gates.
I think it probably would have been better to use eight gates as a way to thin out
I'm
an
gonna
advancing army
I'm gonna give you a it's not
because
really a take.
that would be cool.
I agree. What if Guy, and I know this is a big moment and people aren't gonna like this, but what if Guy eight gates pain?
Guy wasn't in the village.
Well, I'm retconning, so I am
Yeah,
saying
we're
Guy
gonna
eight gates pain
retcon. Guy using it against Pain makes a lot of sense.
because then you don't quite have because the problem with Naruto being a hero after pain feels a little meh because it's not even the reason why he's important during the war. The reason why he's important during the war is because he's Jinchuriki and him and B are like the last two, and they're like, we can't let you get kidnapped. He would have Naruto was still already building up a respect factor, and coming off of the first half of Naruto, the Orochimaru and Hiruzen fight, Hiruzen acknowledged, like, part of acknowledging how strong Orochimaru was is like, we have to kill off one of our strongest characters just to bite off time. And I think you could have had a similar impact if Guy did that against Pain. I also, different animation studio doing it would have been lit too. But because if that was eight gates, the guy who was animating the pain fight, well, then I wouldn't even give a fuck about eight gates. Eight gates would be destroyed in my head forever because it would look like Chuck E. Cheese. Um,
Yeah, I mean I like the idea too of like I don't know, like I think using it with Pain, but I think against Madara it's kind of a cheap factor, right? Like the when Eight Gates was opened before it was against the Seven Swordsmen of the Mist, right?
mm-hmm.
And he killed every single one of them.
Yeah,
Every single one of them died. And
it's
I'm like, that's fucking badass. So like, I think it would have been cool if, you remember that scene or that panel of like Minato, he's like alone on a battlefield or he's in a trench on the battlefield
mm-hmm.
and he like shows up and these guys are like, "Oh my God, thank God we're safe. The fourth Hokage's here." And he like stands up and there's like an army of people in front of him and the guy's like, "What's one guy gonna do?" And they're like, "It's fine. We're fine." Having that moment for Guy where Guy's like, "I got this," and he cleans out like an army, I think that is because I know he's a fan favorite, but I also think that like I think if you're gonna have him use it at all, he has to die.
I agree. I wish he died.
Like
Even the Bonner fight,
it
which still a cool moment. I'm not trying to take away
like
from eight
we weren't
gates.
afraid to kill Jiraiya off, right? Like how like his fight against Pain would be so much less impactful if he lives.
Oh yeah,
And
I agree.
like we lose the whole like we need to decode this arc that's going on while Naruto's learning how to master Sage Jutsu. People are trying to figure out we lose Shikamaru's brain being used at its finest, by the way. We get different facets of like the intel units in the Leaf Village. We get so much just because Jiraiya died.
Yeah,
And I'm like, like we weren't like that's a good call. Like you can kill Guy.
I agree. I
Like
think the only
especially in a war where it's like, oh my like Guy coming in and saving the other Kage. Like, oh, what are we gonna do against 20 shadow clones or wood clones of Madara?
no, I
And
agree.
then Guy coming in and like going eight gates and fighting 20 Madaras and
I,
defeating 20 Madaras and Madara going, oh fuck, and then like leaving. Making him leave is
that no,
more
that's a feat.
impactful, I think. And then saving the other Kage, I'm like, oh yeah, like that would be more satisfying than him punching a wall that will not break.
No, I agree. Um, I think the only problem with I like the Madara uh idea. So I was thinking in my head, I was like, okay, well, what army would he take out? And because the reanimated army is just a bunch of reanimates and Zetsu, it would feel a little discouraged. Like even if he took out like quote unquote, like the who's the second Raikage, the third Raikage, who's the one that pokes himself? Is that the third or the second?
Oh, that's the second.
Yeah, it's like with his story, it's like, oh, it's like, well, how'd he die? It's like, well, he fought for 3 days straight, and it's like, oh fuck, did they kill him? It's like, yeah, we don't really know. He did get injured, but it's kind of his own thing, and it's like, guy having that kind of moment, but against Zetsu, it's like you lose a little bit of that, but
Yeah.
I do like the Madara one if he was to make Madara leave. Number
Dude, he
nine, I
fights
think is
20 Susanos. 20
that's
Susanos at once and he wins, and you're like,
eight gigs is worth it.
I give it to him, and then Kakashi sees like they escape to a different battlefield and Kakashi sees Madara show up and go, "Oh my God, I've lost another friend." Like
Yeah,
that I don't know. It's kind of cool. Or hear me out. He dies. This is where it gets fun as fuck, right? Guy dies. Someone in the Leaf Village figures out how to like reanimate him. So he just keeps doing 8 gates.
we have
Like
solved
he's
it,
actually the worst person to reanimate
dude.
because he
Yeah,
just
no,
eight
like
gates
I know
over
friends say
and
eight
over.
gates.
Like he
Holy
destroys the
shit.
planet because of 8 gates.
Holy fuck.
They killed it
No,
with infinite chakra was like what really fucking sent it over the edge in Naruto.
number nine is Gar's drastic personality shift. While character development
Mm,
is expected, Gar's transformation from a bloodthirsty killer to gentle, responsible leader happens too abruptly to be believable. We literally get a time gap before we see him. This through this
it's
change is
also his
attributed
friendship with Naruto. Who'd have
this change
thought?
is attributed to Naruto's influence, the extent and speed and personality. Yeah, this one sucks.
That's a bad take. Bad take.
Yeah, this is what he's supposed to do. Now now someone brought this up on the videos I watched, and I can't speak on this, but they say Gara looks weird in Boruto, and I have no idea if that's true. So I'm not gonna really speak on that, but
I'll
that
tell
was
you
one
right
of the
now. Hold on.
they're like he's a little weird in Boruto considering where he came from, and I'm like, your boy literally tried to murder Lee, and then 2 months later defended him from the Bone Man. I'm
Wait,
like,
what are they saying about him in Boruto? That he looks weird or that
that he's
he
like
acts weird?
his character is weird in Boruto.
I mean, he has an adopted son in Boruto.
That's
Like, that's a strange take also.
that,
And I don't know, he looks as foofy as fucking Naruto does in Boruto. So I don't really know what do you want? Um, I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that take.
I don't agree with the personality change of Gara. Like that's what he's supposed to do. And Gara is one of the better character
Yeah,
models.
he's protecting the young ones, which is like that's growth. That's called an arc.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Number 10 is inconsistent chakra rules.
don't hey, you know how you hate height in One Piece? I also don't love the chakra rules.
The series treatment of chakra becomes increasingly inconsistent as it progresses.
Dude, cool things do cool things. Let it happen.
Early episodes emphasize the importance of chakra control and its limitations, but these rules seem to disappear in later arcs.
It
What?
disappears. You want to know where it goes out the door?
Uh,
During the pain invasion, and it's when Kakashi uses the last of his chakra to defend uh Choji. And then he presumably dies because he ran out of chakra.
yeah, he does die. We just get
He
massive when they
he he
rebirth.
goes to purgatory and he has a conversation with his dad, I guess.
That was not a great story development.
Also, all of that was off screen. And you're like, oh, okay, cool.
I think the anime they talk longer, which is hilarious. So I'm like, where did you guys? His dad did one thing. His dad was. I'm sorry. I was told
Yeah, his dad did do one thing and he killed himself.
his dad is like how people theorize like One Piece characters like going all out. Because there's literally theories where it's like, man, Kakashi's dad was stronger than all the Sanin. Well, where's the proof? Well, he just you don't believe him? Look at him. Look at that guy. He's clearly the best ninja in the village. And I'm like, I bet, dog. Like, I know your boy was good because he had a exclusive, he had a moniker, and so that made
Yeah.
him above Joni. So it's like, okay, cool, your boy's got a moniker. Then he kills himself. That's all I know him to do. I don't know anybody he fought. I don't know anything he did.
Hey,
What am I basing this off
we
of?
know that that mental health crisis went down to Kakashi.
Oh, Jesus.
And so him mellowing out is actually part of his growth of like, yeah, I learned how to be depressed. And you're like, wow, he's just so much more well adjusted than his dad.
Um, I one of the things too, and I think this is where Kishimoto really struggled is like there's one character who was allowed to break the rule. Like, excludes the Edo Tensei. I don't even hate that Edo Tensei had unlimited chakra. I think
Oh,
it
I
should
love
have
it.
done.
I think that's what makes him scary is that there's zombies that can just do
Yeah,
anything.
Naruto was supposed to clearly be the one character that broke the rules because he established that the QB or Kurama just had legit, like it was the biggest chakra mass on the planet, and because it was
Yeah.
inside Naruto, he theoretically had the biggest reserves. Fine. Let's that's so cool. Naruto gets to do shit that is inhumanly possible. And I'll even give B as the second closest. He could also do things that were in like other humans couldn't do. The problem was I don't think he scaled that very well. So he just said, okay, that's the top end. So the everybody else, well, we can't do what Naruto can
I know
do,
exactly where you're going with this. Okay.
but Kakashi can do like Kakashi literally bled and spent like a whole chapter trying to do Kamui the first time. And then he definitely pops them left and right, along with Chidori's, along with the fight with Obito. Cool as fuck. That he it did not it scaled really badly. Again, Naruto could break the rules, fine with it. Kurama's an established rule. B could break the rules, cool, and fine, established rule. Then everybody else just started to fall in line. And I'm like, you guys weren't invited into this class. This is like the honors class, and you motherfuckers are in. I can't say that, but you motherfuckers are in the other classroom. Like,
You know what my I'm glad you brought
remedial
this
chakra users not allowed in here. Like,
I'm glad you brought this up. Uh how did Kakashi learn that he had a Mangekyo Sharingan?
because he was passed out in the same scene that Obito lost his mind.
So like he should have had the Mangekyo
Oh, very early. Yes.
very
Yes.
early,
Yes. He
which
could
he did.
theoretically.
We are shown that he did have it very early on. But like he doesn't that not being able to like make things just vanish. It's
It was
kind
very
of cool.
helpful.
That's kind of a good power.
That's it's I
You want to talk about plot holes?
I am curious why Kakashi never tried to do it like and
Probably would
maybe
have
it's
been
just
probably
he
would have
couldn't
been
do
real good
Obito.
against the guy with the giant sword on the bridge that was killing your students. Oh man, I can't get past this guy who's just like in the way of the ice mirrors. I'm just gonna make him disappear. Like Kakashi of the Sharingan was his name.
Hey, have you seen those videos where they talk about like the way
Like,
people
oh, you're copying me like a monkey. You're right. And then he like zaps him out of existence, and you're like, okay, yeah, that's what the Sharingan does.
oh, Zabuza's best line in the series. You're just scratching the surface of it. Boy, were we boy was he right. He had no clue he was right, but man, he was right. He's like,
Oh
man, this
yeah, did
author is
he?
about
I bet Zabuza didn't know there was a rock that you could look at with different eyes and get a different story.
hey man, I love the Sharingan, but there's the Sharingan itself can make itself on this list. Number 11, again, I don't agree with this one. This is just part of the story, and it's obviously emphasized, but it's Naruto's obsession with Sasuke. This has just been a joke in the fandom for years. Yes, he's
Yeah,
over
what?
the top for his friend. That's
That's the
literally the
story.
basis of the story. It's over. It's dramatic. Get over it.
That's the story.
Like,
I'm sorry you don't like the story of Naruto.
now this one I will say is interesting with Gara. Number 12 is Gara's questionable appointment as Kazekage. I think there's some validity here, even though
Um,
I agree that I think he only got it.
we never saw it, and I think would have helped. Like it sounds like he just kind of stepped up and became it in that 2 year gap.
I so it's almost feels like it's an inherited position because I think the first is his. Because I think all the Kazekages are literally a family, or
Oh, is it
almost
a
all of them.
lineage?
I think it is literally a lineage. I
Oh, well
remember
that's cool.
seeing
Well then
this.
that's a cultural thing then, right? Which
The
they try to emphasize like the cultural differences between the Sand Village and the Leaf Village.
yeah.
Um, which again, you want to talk about a missed opportunity. I would have loved to have seen more of the other villages.
It's
It's kind of like when J.K. Rowling was like, "Yeah, there were other wizarding schools," and we're like, "What happens at those?" And she was like, "Eh, things." Wait, what are wizards like outside of England? Eh. You're like, "Oh, okay, it's fine."
the hereditary Sans creature makes no sense. Um. Okay, so it's not straight lineage, but there is nepotism in the Kazekages.
That's
So,
cool. I
um,
like that. That's kind of rad.
and
I
again, the village was fucked up post Orochimaru fucking with them and literally murdering their leader, and so
They
they
had
just
no leader for
2 years.
at least a year. Yeah, who
Yeah.
knows how long Gaara had been? I don't remember how long Gaara was Kazekage.
It's
I
rel
just know that after the 2 year, 2.5 year gap, he is. So
yeah. But it's like he's just also too like the Kage has to be strong. Like it is a position of strength. It is literally if shit really hits the fan, like the Kage has to stay in the village, which is why the again little things like this I wish we put more importance of. The reason why a Kage summit is so dangerous is because you are literally taking the greatest military force out of every village and putting them all in one spot. So it's like if someone were to
so
run up on
cool.
the leaf, someone like they could have emphasized that more of like
The Kage Summit is like the coolest part of the post pain
yeah,
stuff. And it would have been made so much cooler if we knew how all those villages worked.
a
Because
thousand
up till
percent.
that point, we only really knew three of them.
Nine. Yeah, and the mist we just knew was
And the
one.
mist, they just talked about the mist and the stone. Like we got almost nothing on the stone besides the fact that they used the Akatsuki for things. And I think we got that in the meeting.
Yeah.
Like stone and mist, we don't really get shit on. And then like mist, I whatever. And then yeah, I don't know. A lot of missed opportunities with Naruto, but like we could have padded those out in a anyway.
13 and 14 I'm going to go over really quick because they're not 13 is the filler episode dilemma. This is again it's filler. It sucks. That's a weekly anime. I don't blame Naruto specifically. That's a
Yeah,
weekly
that's
thing.
not. I don't think that's a fair. That's not fair.
14 is Sakura's underutilization. Again, this
Agree.
isn't a plot hole. This is bad writing. This isn't
It's
a
bad
plot hole.
writing.
Yeah. Number 15. Holy fuck. I've never thought of this in my life, but it makes so much sense. Number 15. Toby Ramos Edo Tensei Paradox. He writes a bunch of really nice things here, but I'm just gonna put it in my language. Why the fuck doesn't Toby Rama know how to unzombie himself? Madara knew how to fucking do it. Hashirama was just apparently too fucking strong to care. The motherfucker that made the technique didn't have a built. There was clearly a built-in hand signs to go. I'm no longer controlled, and the motherfucker that made it didn't know what to do. I was
Doesn't he? Doesn't he break out? Doesn't
nah.
he
Your
break
boy
away
is
from it?
just no. Orochimaru gives them like the quote unquote. They have free will, with the exception of he can kind of restrain them. But they're also because it's literally the first four Kage, they're like, you guys are all really strong, so it's hard. But he like kind of holds Tobirama back a little bit, and Hashirama just freely walks away, and he's just like, oh well, I can't do shit with that one. But tried. So he has no he made the fucking technique. Why the
Why
fuck
was there
does
no back door?
there was Madara knew
Why
the back
what?
door?
Yeah. Oh, true.
Why
Yeah,
the
you're right.
fuck doesn't Toby
Yeah.
Rama know it?
Yeah, Toby Rama probably should have. Toby Rama, let's be honest. The second Hokage is not great. He's definitely the younger brother.
This is the
He's definitely sorry, he's definitely what was he? Is he the middle child technically
for the Senjus?
for Hashirama's family specifically? Isn't he the
I only
middle
thought there
child?
was I thought there was
Because the
only
youngest one gets killed. I thought it was the
he's
youngest one, and that's why
yeah, he is
Toby.
the middle then. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's given classic middle child behavior of like nothing special.
Except he's literally the this
He just makes jutsus, and then people are like, "Well, that's too strong, forbidden," and he's like, "Yep."
I ain't gonna I ain't, I'm we're not gonna stay here, but this is Toby Rama is literally the American election. And they just they just
Even right down to his racist rhetoric.
I'm like this man is
If I
so
see some of
important.
your fucking Sharingan looking
I'm like,
black
this man
hair,
is
red eye, send him back to the garbage pile in the middle of the ocean.
this man is so like your boy literally so he had to remember he only did shit specific like literally everything he did was like wow he progressed jutsu so far. And I think there's even a comment of like the scroll that Naruto first gets. They go back to it and it's like a lot of those are the second Hokage's techniques. And it's like he made all these techniques to murder the Uchiha. Your boy said, well, fuck, they can see too fast. Well, I'm gonna be faster. Your boy said, well, they're really strong. So I'm going to, after I murder like a couple weak ones, I'm going to reanimate and just attach bombs to these motherfuckers. Let me suicide
Yeah.
bomb. Like he did
Or I'm
everything
gonna
with the sole
reanimate. More
purpose.
importantly, I'm gonna reanimate these guys and use their fucking eyes.
Like,
Like he, everything Donzo was doing, like I like to think that's second Hokage behavior, where he's
that's a
like,
thousand
I'm
percent
just
is. That's his
harvesting
hero.
eyes. Yeah, I'm harvesting eyes.
Like, again, like, and this author does say, like, even with the inconsistencies, like Naruto is still beloved and has, um, it doesn't take away from the overall enjoyment factor, and that's correct. And and I always say this with Kishimoto because it's Naruto's turned into basically like the 2000s version of Dragon Ball, where it's like Kishimoto wrote emotion really well, and that gets him through a lot of these moments that are otherwise clunkier. Again, we talked about like the way the village treats them. Those scenes, if you still went back and read them or you still watched them, if you're watching for the first time, those are still like really well done scenes pulling on emotional strings, kids over here scorned, etc. The Tobirama one blew my fucking mind because I never even
Yeah,
like thought about it.
I also never thought about it because I was like, eh. But yeah, you're right. He invented the jutsu. So also, can we go into the fact that like he invented a way to reanimate dead bodies?
We don't talk about
Like,
the
hold
second
on,
Hokage,
like
man.
that makes the first Great Ninja War even more fucking cool because you know he was reanimate like if he was only Hokage for that span, right?
Mhm.
That means for sure he was reanimating dead people and like using them to like butcher other nations. Like, I don't know. I think I still think give me something with the first Great Ninja War. I'll write it. I don't care what it is. Like I'll literally write it. It'll be so cool.